Welcome back to the program. Well, let's take a look now on the media sector's performance on the share market this week and also this quarter. We're joined now by Evan Lucas from ING Markets to do just that. And Evan, it's been an interesting first quarter of the year. Some real standouts in terms of overperformers and underperformers in the media sector. What's caught your eye so far?
I think the ones that have really caught my eye were the two bad boys of probably the last 2 years, being Fairfax and also APN. They're the two that actually have outperformed quite substantially in that first quarter. APN up around about 41%, Fairfax up around about 40%. And the reason for it is the turnaround story that they certainly released in that first quarter, particularly Fairfax, as they start to really stem the bleeding, and there is a bit of a turnaround story there, whereas APN, for instance, obviously managed to pick up the rest of radio network there, so the Australian Radio Network did quite nicely, and their half earnings were also quite strong. Other side that continues to be very, very positive over the last quarter as well remains those online players, Seek and also REA Group. Again, other standouts there. Despite REA seeing their CEO and also their CFO walking away, they still had double-digit growth on the revenue and NPAT land for both Seek and also REA. On the other side of the equation, however, there was a little bit of a theme that if you basically were involved in sort of digital TV or any form of TV at the moment, particularly on the regional side, you were under pressure. Prime, also you can throw in there, the worst one for the month was, for the quarter, sorry, was Southern Cross. They were down 18%, as again, there's still this holding out of the reach rule. And Southern Cross, considering they were mooted as possibly being a merger takeover target, has seen a bit of pressure. Other one that's also been emerging is 10. After having such a start to the quarter, they're actually off 4.1%, and they've lost almost 27% in the last month alone. And that comes down to the fact that we have seen Lachlan Murdoch walk away. The earnings and revenue stream continue to look strained, and the fact that viewer numbers are down, it really is hurting their share price, and why the market walked away from them at the last half of the quarter.
Evan, those last two charts we put up, Southern Cross Media and 10, don't look pretty at all. Just quickly on Fairfax, though, we did see that spike back up. Is now a time to sell?
Again, interesting question, and you can see there's a possibility for that. They are still seen by the market as a fundamental sell. We have yet to see them really break into any form of even ground already, even close to even ground on the net profit line. So I think there is still a possibility there. Again, I want to see what the full year numbers are going to say, because that was the turnaround story. That was the catalyst for that real big jump and spike up that we saw in the midway through February. It was a turnaround story, and we know what's trying to go on, and Greg Hayward is working very, very hard, but I'm yet to really see it. So if you have a look at The Age and also the Sydney Morning Herald, both are retaining numbers, but the actual revenue coming out of them is still very, very low. So I'm not sure it's a story that I would be that enthralled with, but again, the market momentum is there. So that's the only thing I would say to sort of back it up.
Fantastic wrap, Evan. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Nigel.
Well, there's been another war of words between free TV and the subscription TV body Astra this week. For all the details, let's return now to our co-host, James Manning. And James, this kind of battle seems to reignite every so often, but the terminology is very interesting here. I know that Astra, for example, calls the free-to-air networks privileged TV networks, and for their part, FTA says, well, you're trying to make people pay for content. What's this latest scuffle about? Yeah, look, it's pretty much that. It's the anti-siphoning legislation which stops some sports appearing exclusively on Foxtel, basically. And look, that's Foxtel, really, that's key to them upping their penetration into Australian homes to get some sports. I mean, they're doing pretty well with the AFL. They've got some games that you can't see on free TV. But, Seven, the other rights holder, would argue, look, I think they've got 4 live games a week for free. That's enough for most people. And you haven't really seen those subscription TV levels lift. And the thing that free TV can do is they can scare the politicians very easily by saying, look, Astra and Foxtel want to charge people with stuff that they're getting now for free. And when that message gets out to the voters, they think, oh, they get very nervous, and politicians back away, very quickly from that. So Astra is looking at other ways of getting in. They're talking about, having rights to the same sports, sharing rights and stuff like that. But it's just a really tricky area for them to work around. I did note, though, that Foxtel in their last results did show a 5.2% increase, I think, in subscriber growth there. So there has been some, but it was sort of those cheap subscriptions, the $20 and $30 a month, the trial ones, which they hope those people will convert to paying. Yeah. Let's keep on sports and the topic now, golf. Seven has secured the PGA rights, and I think they'll be broadcasting 5 hours live each day.
Yeah, they've picked that up over the summer. They've got all the PGA, and since they've got the US Masters next week too, which they're going to show, and for the first time Fox Sports has them, so there'll be sort of an option that you can watch it on either channel. A few more enhancements, there'll be a few less ads on Fox Sports probably, and there's the multi-view, you'll be able to use your red button and get a few more angles and some extra commentary.
And Network 10, some good news for them. They've re-signed the Big Bash commentary team, guys like Damien Fleming and War as well, also Adam Gilchrist there too. So some rare positive news for 10.
Yeah, but it's still 9 months away though, so they've had to go to things like that to put out some good news to the market, if you like. And sport's been good for them. You know, the Big Bash did well. You know, the Winter Olympics, you could argue, wasn't handled too well, but it at least got their shares up, got some ad revenue in. So sport's a good area for them to focus on. They're going to have the V8s next year, so yeah, if they can keep out to the markets, the bits of good news about what they're doing in sport to sort of while they get their act together on the other side.
But why haven't they been able to take some of those viewers that have come there for sports and channel them to their other programs?
Yeah, look, it's a good question, and Tim would love to know that. Some people say they're mishandling the way they're promoting their shows. They're not sort of banking them up to start straight after that sport. That was a criticism of the Winter Olympics. They tried to mix some of their programming with the games, whereas in the benefit of hindsight, people were saying, yeah, look, you should have maybe just focused on the games and then start all your key programs after it's over. Don't sort of mix the two messages.
Now, Lachlan Murdoch, we did know, has left 10, but his father, Rupert, still named as #1 on the BRW Rich list. How much is he worth now?
Yeah, look, his shares are worth just over $12 billion. That's the calculation as of when they put this list together. And his remuneration last year was just over $30 million. So
still doing pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if we talk about Channel 10 still, and Network 10, any developments there since Lachlan and James and news generally? They've moved on to bigger roles. So what's kind of been the reaction now that the dust has settled since these announcements have been made? Yeah,
look, just quickly on 10, they'll be their results are out next week, so I'll have a bit more of that on the show. It's Thursday of next week, so we'll cover that comprehensively. Yeah, look, Lachlan, he started work last week after that announcement. He did a day in a few photo opportunities there within News Corp, but it's all been quiet since then. So yeah, they're just knuckling down and getting on with their new roles, I think.
And still with news, the Australians celebrating their 50th birthday, but that anniversary actually a little bit later on in the year.
Yeah, look, it's not till July 15, but they're starting the party early, if you like, and they're getting it out to market. They've signed up the Commonwealth Bank, who's going to sponsor. They're going to have things like a special magazine, like a glossy magazine, which will cover all their highlights, and they're going to do a lot on digital, just showing off what they've achieved over the years. But look, a lot of questions about how profitable the business is, but we've seen some interesting statistics how digital's helping the Sunday Times in London cut its losses. So if they get the digital play here right, it could be good news for their bottom line.
What about Bauer Media? Because they're in the magazine business, but they've got this interesting offer now where if you don't like one of their magazines, you can get your money back. That's a bit of a risk, isn't it?
You'd think so, but then again, if you know how many people are going to go to the trouble, I think it's a $3.95 investment. The title is yours. It's a new fortnightly. They've got it's for older women, if you like. I think it's sort of 40, 45 plus. So $3.95. You take the magazine home, you don't like it. How many people will bother going there? So it's a nice little gimmick, I guess, to maybe get a bit of interest out there.
And still in the magazine space, We Magazine, they're putting up a paywall. We've seen newspapers do this, and now magazines trying it as well.
For their digital site, Hoopla, which is something Wendy Harmer launched, I think it's nearly 3 years ago, and they were in the studio here the week they launched and told us about their plans. Yeah, they're going to introduce a paywall, which is interesting. They've a lot of people in digital think, oh, look, we'll build the audience first and then we'll worry about how to monetise it. So they're getting some ad income, but they're going to two options. You'll think 99-cent day pass if you just want to, which won't be enough to deter somebody if there's just one item they want to read. They'll have an annual offer. I think it's $120. That'll be discounted for the first month. I think it's around about 75 or something. So if you're really keen, you can pay that, and that'll help their bottom line. They've always encouraged people to contribute as well, to help them out along the way. So this is an interesting way of boosting their coffers.
We've also seen some consolidation in the printing sector. Is this now going to be the country's largest printing conglomerate?
Yeah, look, it's Hannon Print and the Blue Star Group's coming together. Interestingly, they don't have a name yet, which sort of makes you think, well, maybe this was sort of they've rushed out this announcement to the market. But yeah, going to have total billings around $700 million. Yeah, but we're yet to see what they do there. There's a few people are wondering if the ACCC might have some concerns about this, but there's still a fair spread of printers out there, people who know about the industry tell me.
And just quickly, we've had some stats out about the size of the social media audience. Who's the winner, Facebook or YouTube?
It's interesting. I thought Facebook would be well ahead. They had, in March, was about 13 million people, but YouTube was up there just under that, just under 13 million. So it was sort of neck and neck. Twitter was the one that surprised some people a little bit, just over 2 million users. So, you know, it's still not a mass market usage of that social media platform.
All right, James, thanks for the update. We'll come back to you after the break. And we are going to take a quick break here on Media Week, and we'll stick with that online space. Amazon getting into streaming TV. What will that mean for Apple and Google? We'll find out next.